right. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Kizzy Show. I'm JD Kazaya,
I'm Silas Kazai.
and we talk about what you want to hear. So,
Yes.
Silas, we have 5 days until Christmas, but we also only have one day until the start of the first ever 12-team college football playoff. What are your feelings on the field of teams we got here, Si?
I think it's going to be a great little college football playoff with the first year of the 12-team playoff. I'm hurt Alabama didn't make it,
For sure.
but it's going to be fun to watch.
For sure, absolutely. This year we got more teams, more games, more chaos, more fun, just more for everybody. Can't wait.
Yes.
One of my fears at the beginning of the year was that it would make the regular season a little less important or less
Mhm.
valuable, but I feel like it's actually done the opposite because we had some insane games earlier in the year. So can't wait for what the playoff has in store for us.
Yes, I completely agree.
Completely agree. Heck yeah. So let's jump right into the 5 versus 12 matchup. Texas versus Clemson. Texas, they lost a heartbreaker to Georgia in the SEC championship, and Clemson has somehow snuck into the playoff. The only three lost team in the field. Um, they are playing in Austin at I think it's 4 Eastern tomorrow, and what could be a good game. Silas, what are your initial thoughts on this?
I think Clemson barely snuck in, and I think they're going to come out with a ton of energy.
Hmm.
And then Texas, they're mad. They just lost to Georgia, and they have something to prove. So I think this game's going to be a real showdown.
For sure. Yeah, this is Texas favored by 11 and a half, which if
I
you're if you're Dabo Swinney and Clemson, that's a great spot because Clemson has always thrived as a
mhm.
postseason underdog. So it is now time for our Kizzy keys to the game for Clemson. This one's pretty obvious. Cade Klubnik he has to play the best game of his life back in his home state, back in Texas, but especially with Phil Maffa being hurt, we don't know how good he's going to be. The backup running back Jay Haynes, he's out for the rest of the year. So Clemson's run game against this elite Texas front is going to be pretty much nil. So Klubnik really, really has to ball out.
Yep.
Absolutely. Secondly, you got to capitalize on Texas's mistakes. If Texas messes up, Clemson has to take advantage of it. I know you and I watched the Clemson Carolina game not too long ago, and Carolina
Mhm.
threw the ball was like 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
Yeah, and Clemson only scored 14 points, so they have to capitalize on mistakes. And then I feel if Clemson can make Texas one-dimensional, take away the quick screen, take away the run, and force them to throw it down the field. I think with the way Quinn Ewers has been playing, I think that puts Clemson in a really good position to go win this game. What you thinking, Silas?
I agree. Quinn Ewers been struggling lately. He was in the Heisman race earlier in the year, and then his season has kind of went downhill after he started suffering some injuries.
For
And
sure.
if you can force him to the deep ball, I think Clemson has a real shot to win this game.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you. Now, if you go to the other side for Texas, I think for Texas to win this game, they have to make Clemson completely one dimensional. We just said how Clemson's run game is not going to be great. If Texas can completely take out the run game and force Klubnik to either throw for 350 and 5 touchdowns or lose the game, that is a great,
Mhm.
great spot to be in. Texas has to be more consistent than Clemson. Neither of these teams have been super consistent all year, but if Texas can really take advantage of Clemson's offense stalling out, and if they can take advantage of Clemson's defense, which has not been up to the level it has been in the past, definitely not championship caliber. And
Mhm.
then the final key is don't let Clemson hang around. We saw earlier this year, if you've been watching Tiger football in the Clemson game, or no, my bad, in the Pitt game, in the SMU game, in the ACC championship, both those teams kind of just let Clemson hang around. They they didn't separate themselves enough, and Clemson found a way to win it late. So
Mhm.
Texas cannot do that.
I completely agree.
But all right. So now time for our game picks. Silas, who you got?
You know, with Clemson's run, being completely gone pretty much. Their backup running backs out for the season, and their starting running backs a little beat up. Texas is just going to take advantage of that, and there's Clemson's run offense is not going to do anything. So give me Texas.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to agree with you here, Silas. I do think Clemson will cover. I think it'll be closer than that 11 and a half point
I
spread.
agree. Hmm.
Because, even watching Clemson football for a long time, like I have, you know that Clemson thrives in games like this. Whenever nobody believes in them, that's when they're at their best. But I, I can't really trust either team, but I trust Clemson less than I trust Texas. And plus, with it
Yeah.
at being in Texas with their dominant defense, that home field is going to be rocking. It's going to be great, and they have an offense that I trust a little bit more than Clemson. I think they will take advantage of Clemson's shaky defense and stalling offense, and they
Hmm.
will win the game. That is what I think.
Yes. Yes.
Hopefully, I'm wrong. As a big Tiger fan, I really hope they come out and prove us wrong. But
I'm also rooting for the Tigers.
dude, appreciate it. Hey,
Underdog, baby.
if if Texas wins, I want to shout out my boy Reese Dillbeck from Arab. He's a huge Texas fan. So been talking a little smack with him. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me in the face. Anyways, next game we have the 11 seed versus the 6 seed. This one is the first game tomorrow. We got SMU versus Penn State. Silas, what are your
Mhm.
initial thoughts on?
I think SMU got really lucky even getting into the playoffs. I don't think they're that good of a team.
Okay.
And they're playing at Penn State with the whiteout.
Mm.
I it's gonna be rough for them, I think. But we'll see.
Silas says rough day for SMU, but it's time for Kizzy Keys for this game for SMU. You cannot have what happened in the ACC championship this game because you're right, Silas. It's gonna be wide out. It's gonna be rocking.
Mhm.
And SMU, they haven't really played great against great teams we saw, but they have to start off a lot better than what they did against Clemson, or else they are cooked. Um, I found this out yesterday, but SMU is 131st in penalty yards per game. So there's only three teams in the country that commit more penalties than SMU
Yeah.
per game, which is pretty crazy. So they have to clean up the penalties if they want to have a chance against Penn State. And then both of these teams play two different styles of football. If you notice, that third key is the same for both of them. If SMU can turn this to a fast paced shootout, if they can establish their hurry up offense, keep Penn State's defense on skates the whole game, I think they will have a chance. If not, and if Penn State can turn this a black and blue Big Ten slugfest,
Mhm.
I I can't see SMU hanging with them if that happens. So, what are your thoughts on that, Silas?
Like you said earlier, SMU's 131st in the nation in penalties, and they're playing with the whiteout. There's gonna be a lot of false starts. A
Mm,
lot of delay games. I think, and they have to minimize penalties, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it in Penn State.
yeah, I think I will agree with you there. For uh for Penn State to win this game, they gotta run to pass. We saw in that
Mhm.
Oregon game how they their offense looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Did you get a chance to watch that game,
I
Silas?
did, yes.
Yeah. I mean, their offense looked really good. They were able to run
Mhm.
the ball and they were able to throw the ball. They got to establish the run and then hit SMU right in the face with their passing game because SMU's secondary is not great. They've been pretty shaky all year. So I'm looking for Drew Allard and Penn State to really take advantage of that. And then they got to rise to the occasion. There's this stereotype around college football that Penn State can't win big games, and
Yeah,
this is another big game. It's not against a team to the level of Ohio State or Oregon or Michigan in the past. Not Michigan this year, but Michigan
yeah, yeah.
last couple years. Yeah. But this is still a huge game. It's college football playoffs, so they have to rise to the occasion and
Mhm.
who they are. Oh, so Silas, who are you? Looks like Penn State.
As y'all can see, I'm going to pick Penn State in this one, as you could tell already. I mean, I think they will rise to the occasion. just because it's SMU. I don't know if they will farther on in the playoffs, but I think they have this round.
Yep. The winner of this game goes on to play Boise State, which
Yes.
if you're a team like Penn State, that's a pretty nice draw getting
Hmm.
SMU, and then if you win, you play Boise State, who I mean is good, but
They're like a
that's
one-player
good.
team, in my opinion. Ashton Jeanty or bust.
Ashton Junior bust. Do you think he should have won the Heisman?
Yes, I do.
Hmm.
He was
Yeah.
robbed.
After Travis Hunter's speech, I really wish Ashton Junior would have won it. But
Yes,
anyway,
exactly.
um, yeah, I am also taking Penn State. Just the weather, it's going to be in like the mid 20s, which
Hmm.
being from Dallas, Texas, does not playing ever. Uh, they got the home field, the whiteout. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be rocking there in Happy Valley. And then I feel like last week, even though they lost the Oregon game, they got a bunch of momentum heading into the the playoff, and they just have better players, man. Like
Yeah,
football
they
is
do.
not one with X's and O's; it's one with Jimmys and Joes. If you,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I think they have that advantage for sure. I think it is time for James Franklin to prove all the
Mhm.
naysayers wrong. So yeah, that is that game. And then this game is actually tonight. We got Indiana versus Notre Dame. Both teams are from the state of Indiana, so kind of ironic how that worked
Yep.
out. Meeting in the playoff in South Bend in Notre Dame. Stakes are high. Silas, what are your initial thoughts for
My
this?
initial thoughts, I think Indiana's a little overrated. They had a piece of cake schedule,
Yeah,
but they're a solid team. I mean, I think they do deserve to be in the playoffs. I think this game will be solid. Notre Dame's really good this year, though.
yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think out of all the teams, Notre Dame's been the most consistent so far.
Yeah, yeah.
If I had to pick any team to win it all right now before watching the first round, I might have to go with Notre Dame. But
Wow.
in order, yeah, I know that's kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm in the minority there. I don't,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've heard a lot of people talk about Notre Dame, but I think they got what it takes. But in order to win the national championship, they have to beat Indiana first. And
Hmm.
for Indiana to pull off the upset, they have to force Notre Dame to beat them in the air. They have to make Riley Leonard throw the ball. He has looked a little shaky
Yeah,
this year trying to air it out, but Indiana has to make them do that if they want a chance to win this game. Also, they cannot shoot themselves in their own foot. Indiana's probably the least talented team in the playoff field. So if they
hmm,
mess up a lot in this game, I don't think they have a talent advantage where they can overcome that. And then also expose Notre Dame's secondary. We were talking a
yeah,
little bit off camera before this, Silas, but did you know that? So Notre Dame played USC
hmm,
on the field, and USC had their backup quarterback because Jordan
yes.
Foxy hit the transfer portal, but
Hmm.
their backup quarterback threw for 360 yards and three touchdowns.
That is crazy to me. Because if
Yeah,
Notre Dame allows that to happen against Indiana, I don't see how they can win this game.
I mean honestly, because Indiana they're third in the Big Ten in passing offense in the top 25
Yeah,
nationally, but I mean you have to look at Indiana's schedule, like
yeah, 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 yeah.
who they play, but I think they definitely have a chance to do it against Notre Dame. So for Notre Dame to win this game, they have to dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. They have to be able to run the ball down Indiana's throat and also put some pressure on Indiana's quarterback. Uh,
Hmm.
and then, like we saw in the Army and Navy games, they Notre Dame got ahead and then they stayed ahead.
Yeah,
They put their foot on the throat and just did not take it off. They just all gas, no brakes. Don't let Indiana back in this game. Get ahead and then just stay ahead. And final key for Notre Dame is Indiana is really good. They're like third in the country in red zone efficiency. So
hmm,
if once Indiana gets in the red zone, if they can force field goals instead of touchdowns, I think they're
yes.
in good shape. So now for our game picks. Silas, who you rocking with?
I'm gonna have to rock with Notre Dame in this one. I think I think Indiana, they're a solid team, but they haven't really played anybody at Notre Dame's caliber yet.
Mhm.
and Notre Dame has. So I think Notre Dame has more familiarity with the circumstances. So give me Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I think the only other team Indiana's played on Notre Dame's level is Ohio State, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they
And we saw all that, man. So
that's right, yeah, they couldn't really hang in that
yeah,
game. So I'm also picking Notre Dame, like talked about earlier, to get they have the Jimmy and Joe advantage for
they
sure.
do.
They
Yes.
got some dudes on their team, got home field advantage, which I think is going to be huge. And I love their coach. I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's going to have these guys locked in. They're not going to be overlooking Indiana, who, like SMU, is one of those teams who a lot of people don't really feel like belong.
Hmm.
But Marcus Freeman, he'll have those guys locked in and ready to do some battle tonight in South Bend. So,
Yes.
yep. Do you know what time they kick off? Um,
Is it 7?
7. That sounds about right. So it is time for our final game. This is
Yes.
this is the nightcap, the 9 versus 8 seed matchup in Columbus, Ohio, Tennessee versus Ohio State. I feel like
Yes.
ever
This
since,
is
yeah, this is well, like, go ahead with what you're gonna say.
this
Yes.
is the most exciting game in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to this game. It's gonna it's gonna have some chaos, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I feel like ever since Tennessee beat Bama, we really just stopped talking about them, which
Yeah, I
they
agree.
they just flown under the radar, but they are a pretty good team. And
Hmm.
so, time for the Kizzy Keys to this game. Tennessee has to run the ball. Dylan
Yeah.
Sampson has to have a big game. They have to be able to run the ball against this really good Ohio State front, but they have to find some way to run the ball because their passing game has not been great all season, but this leads perfectly into the next key. Their passing game, it can't be like zero. It can't be ineffective. They have to
Yeah.
have some life through the air. They have to be able to do something and then establish their tempo and style. We talked about this in the SMU game, but if Tennessee can keep Ohio State's defense on their heels, if they can keep them playing catch up, struggling to get lined up, really establishing that fast paced Tennessee offense that we have seen the
Yeah.
past few years, I feel like they should be able to have some success.
Yeah. If Tennessee does stick to the way Tennessee plays football, I think they'll be solid just by hurrying it up,
Mhm.
keeping Ohio State not ready for what's coming, mixing up the play calls, and just,
For
you
sure.
know,
For sure. I agree with all that. And then for Ohio State, got to make Tennessee one dimensional. Really,
mhm.
if they can force Nico to beat him in the air, I think that will line up very, very well. Muy
Yeah.
bueno, say, south of the border for
Yes. Yes.
the Buckeyes. Yeah. Second key, this one is not so much what's going on the field, but what's going on in the in the mindset of the Ohio State players, the coaches, everybody in that program. But they have to put that Michigan game behind them. Like
Hmm.
they got smacked in the face, huge upset, and then they had all that fiasco post game, like planting the flag in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they can't they can't still be thinking about that because as you remember, at the beginning of the year, the Ohio State people they spent like $25 million or something like that to build a team to go win a national championship.
Hmm.
And they have to remind themselves of their goals to win a national championship. And it
Yeah.
starts here with beating Tennessee.
I think Ryan Day will do that. He's a solid coach,
He
and I
really
think
did.
he will get that Michigan out of their mind. Even if he doesn't, he will use it to fuel them to play harder in this game.
Absolutely. Speaking of Ryan Day, I mean, it's kind of crazy to say this, but is he on the hot seat? Like,
I possibly he's beat Michigan. Has he ever beat them?
yeah, but I mean, Michigan's won like 3 or 4
Yeah,
straight. But I mean,
yeah,
just it's
and that's really what Ohio State fans look at the
yes,
Michigan game.
absolutely. Yeah, just his record is amazing. It's absolutely
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
But just because he can't beat Michigan, he's on the hot seat, which is crazy. And um, I think that'll play into this game because he's kind of coaching for his job right right here, which is crazy to say, but yeah,
yeah.
it is. And final key, Will Howard. He has to have a a great game. Both of us know how good Tennessee's run defense is. So Ohio State, I think their receivers are better than Tennessee's corners. So they have to win those
Mhm.
one-on-one matchups, and Will Howard's got to get them the ball. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are our keys to the game for both teams. Silas, who you picking in this?
I got Tennessee in this one
Come on.
because Tennessee, they're SEC team. Turns the
Good.
schedule's way harder. They're more familiar with the circumstances. They beat Bama,
Mhm.
so I'm rooting for them. Give me Tennessee.
Okay, Tennessee with the SEC edge over Ohio State. I'm gonna pick the Buckeyes in this one. I do think Tennessee will cover. I think the line's like 7.5, eight and a
Mhm.
half, 9.5, something like that. I think Tennessee will cover. I think it'll be really, really close because Ohio State really hasn't pummeled teams like I thought they would this year. But just two words: desperation time for
Yeah,
Ohio State. It's uh their goal this year for Ryan Day and that team is natty or bust. And yeah, just if they miss that goal, like we just talked about, his seat's gonna get cooking. They're gonna start turning the heat up, and I don't know.
yeah, you're right.
Not
You're
good for
right.
them. Second word is experience. Ohio State has been in these types of situations before. This is Tennessee's first
Mhm.
time in the playoff. I think the moment might be a little too big for them, especially on the road in Columbus. I think I've picked the home game or the home team in every game,
Yeah,
or just because I think that's. I mean, it's every single environment.
home field advantage is a real thing
It's a
in
real
college
thing,
football. Hmm.
absolutely, in all forms of football, but especially college football. Like those fans
Yes.
rocking. It's yeah, the horseshoe's going to get wild in there. So I think that gives Ohio State just enough to squeak past Tennessee.
Yep.
So there you have it, folks. That is our preview for the first round of
Hmm.
the college football playoff, the first ever 12 team college football playoff. Silas, I know this is pretty early. We still have a couple weeks, but who is your favorite right now to win the whole thing?
My favorite is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia Bulldog.
They just beat Texas in the SEC championship. They're on a roll right now, and they're they're really good. Like
Even without Carson Beck, you still
even without Carson Bay, I never thought he was that good anyway.
oh okay.
Yes.
Beck hater
Yeah, I
over
mean,
here. I
yeah,
see. All right.
ETN can carry them to the national championship.
All right. Come on. We kind of hit it about this earlier, but I don't know. I just got a feeling about Notre Dame. I think every, everybody's been sleeping on them, but I think they will put together a run and end up winning the whole thing. So
Yep.
yeah. Thank you everybody for watching this episode of the Kizzy Show. We hope y'all have a Merry Christmas and enjoy watching these playoff games. As always, God
Yes,
bless.
sir.
We'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Yeah. See.